Hey lovelies, it's Kate. Welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. It's time for a Scandinavian mansion, and my last speed build was a log cabin. And actually for my last speed build, one of you inspired me to build this because one of you left a comment saying that a cabin including a walkout basement would be amazing. So that's what I built, and then under my last speed build I read the comments and one of you asked me to build a Scandinavian mansion or house. So here we are, I'm building a Scandinavian build. You've been inspiring me so much lately, and I always appreciate your comments, but lately, I don't know, you've just been inspiring me, and it's a lot of fun to build the stuff that you guys want to see. And I built this in Windenburg on the 64x64 lot on the island. And I wanted to build a Swedish house at first. These really typical Swedish houses that have a wooden exterior and they are usually red, or most of the time. I'm not the expert, I just looked at many pictures, and at first I wanted to build this type of house, so red exterior, really rustic and classic. But then when I googled Scandinavian houses, I noticed that this is a really common style right now. So I decided to build a more modern but still wooden Scandinavian house. So I hope that this indeed looks Scandinavian. I tried my best, and I think it would have been more obvious if I would have went with the whole red Swedish house theme, but I ended up building this, so I hope you guys like this. Here I'm building some type of patio area, and I used the Eine Living glass floor once again. So I really like to use the new Snowy Escape windows, which have almost identical dimensions and they are just perfect, and I also used them in this build, but I had to go back to the good old Eine Living glass floor and I rotated them using tool because I just wanted this look, and we can't rotate windows this way. That's not even possible when you are using tools, so I had to use the glass floor. And as you might have seen in the beginning, it turned the foundation of the platform translucent. So if you want to do this, you always have to make sure that you place your Eine Living glass floor on the floor above. So this doesn't happen, so this is why I had to rearrange them, and later on I'm going to make them a tiny bit bigger. And I used lots of platforms for this build, so this was fun. I wanted to have this area in the front. I wanted the house to be really simple. I wanted this area in the front where one part or one half of the build is kind of more on the inside, this kind of look. I wanted this to be the eye catcher, and the rest of the build is relatively simple. I also put a heavy focus on landscaping once again, and here I built a glass roof. I made an attic tutorial in the past, it's on my channel. I always link the tutorial playlist down below in case you're interested, but this is essentially the method that I used here. You have to use half gabled roofs, and when you pull out the eaves you can create this look. So basically the main part of the roof, of the glass roof, is hidden inside the gabled roof, and then I just pulled out the eaves. Eaves can only be as long as 6 tiles, so in this case I had to combine 2 of them. So I placed glass roofs on both sides, and then I simply pulled out the eaves, and eventually I went with the glass roof swatch that has no pattern on it. And this is base game, like the roof swatch is base game, not the build. I used a lot of stuff from different packs, and here I ended up raising the platform in this area, and I was at first confused how I would make it work on the inside, but eventually this platform, this raised area, would lead to the upper floor. So this was like, it didn't turn the floor plan into a nightmare basically. It wasn't too bad. So this looked pleasing from the outside, but it also worked on the inside, which is of course important. So I eventually ended up using this method. I noticed something though. This is working perfectly fine, but stairs are acting so weirdly recently, and when I placed the lot to check everything, I noticed that some of the stairs would disappear. This seems to be a general issue right now, so if you should place this build or any other build and if some stairs are missing, you just have to build them yourself. I don't know, super glitchy. There was a patch today. We are also going to talk about this in a second, so maybe this was fixed, I'm not sure, but yeah, this is an issue. Always make sure that you replace the stairs that are simply gone. And here I just built a deck and I used a floating floor piece for this, and as I always say, build a room, build a floor piece on top, delete the room at the bottom, and then you have your floating floor piece. You can click on the arrows to decide how high or low you want it to be, and you can find the correct position. And in this case I built a couple of platforms on the deck or on the floating floor piece, and then I connected it to the platform above using some stairs, and these also really like to disappear, and I don't know why. So again, if these stairs are missing, the one in front of the door and on the deck, just replace them. Like, I don't know, this is like really annoying. This game has a lot of bugs recently, as we all know, I guess. And I used some debug rocks. These are from Snowy Escape. And the cool thing is that there's always snow on them. I've talked about these rocks in my last speed build, and I didn't use them in my last speed build, I think, but here I wanted to do that because I didn't want to have a full-on snow build again, because I feel like the last one was a full-on snow or winter build, but I still wanted this to look Scandinavian. And of course, there's not always snow everywhere in Scandinavia all year, but I wanted to have this kind of feeling, so I figured this would be cool. So no matter what season it is, there will always be a little snow on the rocks. Not really that realistic, but I think it looks super cool, and it was just a small detail that made this look a bit more Scandinavian, especially in combination with the house design. As I always say when I'm working on builds like this is not 100% authentic. I always try to just add my own ideas, and this is like never authentic. Also, when I worked on Japanese inspired builds for Snowy Escape, I do my best, but it might not look 100% Scandinavian, and I'm really sorry. Also on the interior, as you will see, I used a lot of stuff from Tiny Living, because Tiny Living was inspired by Hygge. I hope I pronounced that right. And after Tiny Living came out, there were like lots of comments about Hygge and what it means, and that it's more of a feeling and not a style, because I got the impression after Tiny Living was announced that Hygge is a style when it comes to furniture, but it's more of a feeling cozy and home and all that, just feeling good, if I recall correctly. I hope that's not wrong. It's been like a while. It's been a hot minute since Tiny Living came out, and I used a lot of furniture from the pack because it just has this type of style, and I figured it would be perfect. And I built another little deck area down there. I simply removed a part of the pool. I used some debug rocks. I used tool in some areas to lower the rocks a bit so I could find the correct position, and I decided to just change the position of some debug rocks so I was able to fit some stairs there, so your Sims will be able to walk down there, so it's functional. And I think it looks so beautiful with all these trees and small details. So I don't know, it looks like winter, at the same time it looks like summer. It's so lush and green, but I don't know, for me this just kind of looks Scandinavian. And I also used a house number, and this is some NoCC gallery art once again, so you can download this from the gallery, you can place it in your build, and your build will still be CC free, and you can find the credit in the description box where I'm adding all the gallery IDs of the NoCC art that I used in this build, because I want to give credit, of course, but I also want you guys to just check out these amazing creators, and you will find so much good stuff. Like, I have found a couple of creators now that I always check out, and I'm like really excited about this. You guys know this. I always talk about NoCC gallery art these days. And I decided to use this area where I used the Idle Living glass floors just to place some planting pots, so your Sims can just grow some veggies maybe or something, so the garden is a bit more functional. And here down there where I'm adding some rocks and all that, your Sims are actually able to access the pool. I mean, it's supposed to be a pond or a lake or whatever, but this makes the pool functional, so your Sims can walk down there and have a swim, so it's functional. I also ended up adding some counters so your Sims can have a really fancy barbecue, so the whole garden is functional. And I totally confused myself when I was building this because I had no idea what's the front and what's the back of this house. I just started to build and this was the front. To be honest, I have no idea how I ended up uploading this to the gallery because I haven't done that yet, still doing the voiceover, so I don't know what future Kate is going to do with this, but I might rotate this. I have no idea. And then I added more rocks just so it just doesn't look like a pool anymore. This like really turns it into a pond or a lake. I also placed muddy bug rocks on the water surface, and if you don't like to use debug rocks, you can just use the regular rocks, for example. And this is just the most simple trick ever to turn a pool into a lake or pond. I just love this so much, but in my opinion, debug rocks are just the best for this. And you have to activate the bb.show hidden objects cheat and bb.show live edit objects cheat for this, and then you type root into the search bar and press enter, and then it will take you right to the debug objects. And there are so many rocks, just amazing. This is like my favorite part about debug, to be honest, all the rocks. And then in the front, I had no idea what to do at first. I then just realized that this might be the actual front of the house maybe, so I had to remove some rocks later on and had to add some stairs. This was confusing. I don't know, sometimes when I'm working on this lot, this always confuses me for some reason, because I think it's not visible right away where's the front, where's the back. Of course you can check this out by just uploading to the library or gallery, but I don't know, whenever I'm building on this lot, I have no idea what I'm doing. I think the last build that I've built on this lot, I also had to rotate it. I don't know, I just really confused myself here. And I used tool to just change the position quickly. This way I didn't have to lower these rocks again. As always, I can totally recommend using tool for this. And if you're new here and if you haven't heard of tool yet, it's a mod by Twisted Maxi. It allows you to rotate objects, you can copy debug objects, you can place objects off lot, and it's amazing, just like Twisted Maxi himself. Just such a great mod, really, and by a really great modder. And when a build is uploaded to the gallery like this one, it doesn't affect the gallery upload, so you don't need the mod to download this build. Everything will still be in the correct position and rotated, and this is the best thing ever about this mod, and this is why I'm using it, because my builds are CC free and unmodded in the gallery. So all stuff that I'm using here, like tool or the gallery art, all of these are still CC free and unmodded. So what you see here is what you get. You can download this build exactly the way it is, and you can use it even if you don't use any mods or CC or anything. And then I started to work on the floor plan, and my favorite part about this interior might be the whole stairs area. So I raised a part of the build, like a part of the interior, the platform, and then I just added the stairs, and I think it looks so fun. Then I added more stairs on the right side, and I have this raised area, and I just turned it into a really small living room. I don't know, it also looks like a hallway. I don't even know what this is, but I really like it. And as you can see, I'm using lots of stuff from Tiny Living, because as I said, it has this whole hygge feel, and I mean, it looks like IKEA in many ways. I don't really want to say it, but it has this really Scandinavian kind of style. And I'm not really talking about the 100% authentic Scandinavian style, but what a lot of people probably think of when they think of Scandinavian furniture. So this kind of style. So I think this pack is perfect. And I also really love how the kitchen turned out, because it's like so different. I built it right below this area that it just furnished, and at first I thought, okay, this is super spacious and this might not work really, but then I really liked how it turned out because of the way I placed the shelves on the half wall, as you will see in a second. I built an island counter, as always, really spacious kitchen. I sometimes like to use this table from Discover University, which can only be used with bar stools. It's just perfect if you just kind of merge it with an island counter. It looks really fancy. And here at first I placed these shelves just on the wall, and these are from Island Living just as the counters, but then I ended up changing their position, and then I don't know, it just looked a bit Scandinavian. I know that a lot of you will be like, dope, not Scandinavian at all, but I did my best here. Here you can see it, I changed the position, and to me it just looked so fancy and different. And this shelf on the wall is from Cool Kitchen stuff, actually, the one on the left side, and I just really love how this turned out. So this is a bit more warmer. So recently my interiors have been a bit more dark and monochrome, but I feel like because of the contrast of the dark floor and this beautiful wooden color, it still looks really warm and inviting, but also stylish and kind of cold in a good way. I don't know, I really like this. This table is from Cats and Dogs. I tried to combine different materials so it just looks special. And I didn't use a lot of curtains for this build. I wanted this to be really open, just like the cabin that I've built. It's like in nature and you can just take a look on the outside. I wanted to have this very open feel for this build as well. I only used some curtains in certain areas where I felt like the walls looked too boring. I don't know, sometimes a simple window can look really good and it just does a lot for the interior, but then in other instances it just looks really boring and something is missing. So this is why I ended up using curtains, at least in some areas. And I really use this rug a lot. It's from Snowy Escape. It's this fake fur one and I just use it all the time. This always happens. Like anyone who's been around for a while on this channel knows this. Whenever a pack comes out, I always find my new favorite objects and I use it all the time. And this is totally the case with this rug and some other objects. I'm just really in love with this pack, absolutely. So I used also some OCC gallery art behind the bar and in different areas, but I used so many windows. There isn't a lot of empty space on the walls, so I didn't use a lot of OCC gallery art for this build. And this here is the bathroom. I built a separate room for the toilet because I figured why not, there's a lot of space. I wanted to have a really fancy bathroom, and when I built this I totally underestimated how big this room would be. Like as soon as I placed the toilet in there I thought, okay, there's a lot of space left. So I ended up using some counters and a sink, so this is like completely separate. And then I just built a shower using the Discover University shower head. It's really open and spacious. I also added some windows to the toilet room. This is a weird word, but yeah, the room where I built the toilet, and I think it looks really fancy. I don't know, it just had a lot of space. I think I read somewhere that this is really typical in Japan, that you have the toilet in a separate room, and that a lot of people did this for the Japanese Snowy Escape builds, and that it's like really important to a lot of people. But I didn't do this for my Snowy Escape builds actually, because I read this too late, like when I had already finished my Snowy Escape builds. But here in this case we have a separate toilet finally, and I mean this is a Scandinavian build, but whatever. And this is a headboard, which is also no CC gallery art actually, and this is like so amazing. I mean look at this. This is like such a small thing. It's just a like one painting, one piece of no CC gallery art, and it changes the whole room in my opinion, especially in combination with these nightstands, which are from Snowy Escape I think. And I just love this, and I tried to keep it a bit simple, so not too much clutter but also not too boring. And this was like the whole idea behind this build. In some areas there's a lot going on, and in other areas it's a bit more empty and open because of the windows and all that, just so it just has this type of feel in my opinion. And there are 4 bedrooms in total, and one is located two are located at the bottom and 2 are located at the top. The floor plan is a bit different. I also think that this would be perfect as a rental lot. As you guys know, we can now have rental lots in any world and not only in the vacation worlds. So technically you could build this anywhere as long as it's a 64x64 lots, and unfortunately we still don't have a lot of them, but maybe at some point we will have another one. I think Get Famous was the last pack that had a 64x64 lot, and it's been a hot minute. I really hope that at some point we will get another one. Here I also used this headboard. I used it I think for every single bedroom. I just really love this. I'm so in love with this, and for this bedroom I wanted to have a cooler color scheme, so I used a bit of gray, but it still looks inviting and beautiful because of all the different patterns. And I just love this painting, which is also from Tiny Living, and they all look similar in style, but I still try to just make them look a bit different, like different colors and different details. Here for example, this one looks a bit more luxurious and elegant, so I just try to mix it up. And I just noticed that all these paintings are identical, and I'm going to change that before I upload this build to the gallery. I just noticed this, like the 3 paintings behind the bed, which are also from Tiny Living, and they come in different swatches, and there are 3 swatches which are pretty identical, these leaves, and you can place them next to each other, which looks really, really cool. But of course it would be good to just use all the different swatches, and I totally didn't do that here. Also, we got a new update and the skin tones were finally fixed. From what I've seen on Twitter and in some streams, it seems to be good. Like, I don't want to judge this because first of all, I don't play in cars, like I only build, so I have no idea how bad or good it really is, and also I feel like it's not my place to say if this is like good or enough, so I'm not going to say a lot about this. I'm just going to say that from what I've heard on Twitter and in streams, that people seem to be really happy, and as I said, it's really important, so I'm really glad that finally it seems to be fixed, and this is such great news. And this is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Here you can see some screenshots. You can find this build in the gallery, fully furnished as always. I hope that you enjoyed this build. And you can check out the description box. There you will find all the gallery names for the NoCC gallery art that I used, and you can find the link to the KateEmerald community Discord if you haven't joined yet. I hope that you have a absolutely perfect week. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I see you in the next video. Bye bye!